I think there's a marriage that's not doing well right now. What happens when your girlfriends say they still love you, but they can't be with you? What happens when your husband says you're the love of his life, but he cannot share a bed with you? Those are big questions. Questions that the ANC and the SACP need to answer.
We are saying, comrades, the decision to contest elections is not to contest the ANC.
Are we as South Africans watching in slow motion the end of one of South Africa's oldest marriages, the ANC and SACP alliance? They still insist that they're together, but the next birthday party, they want to arrive in separate cars. This video is about the contradiction. A contradiction that is quite glaring, and what it means for power, principle, and the future of South Africa's left.
Phambili alliance, phambili.
Viva SACP, viva!
I commend this NGC unto you. Let it be peaceful. Let it be robust. Let your people engage constructively. Let us experience the festival of ideas that will make this ANC to go stronger and stronger. We call on you to say shame to those who think that it has come to the end.
The balance of forces is always in motion, shifting both locally and globally. Equally, the strategic and ideological cohesion of the alliance is now in question. The path forward demands ideological clarity, political discipline, foresight, firmness of principle, and tactical agility within the context of a renewed strategic posture capable of guiding the next phase of the NDR. During this NGC, delegates are called upon to firstly reflect on the 30 years of democracy, and secondly to assess the balance of forces and the current conjuncture. Thirdly, to characterize the nature of the crises we face and the implications for the NDR. And fourthly, to determine what should be done to address the challenges that we face as a nation and as an organization.
For decades, the story was simple. The ANC leads and its alliance support. One logo on the ballot, one center of power, one revolution in different formation. Now the story is messy. The Communist Party want to contest the local government elections in their own name, while insisting that they're still part of this unbreakable alliance. So what happens when your coalition partner becomes your competitor, but still calls you a comrade? That's the question we will try to answer today.
The decision to contest election is contestation of election. And this matter, comrade, is a very critical matter because it has to do with the existential being of the party.
We must acknowledge that the decision by the South African Communist Party to contest elections separately threatens the unity and the cohesion of the alliance. Recent by-elections held in various parts of our country have shown that being divided wreaks consequences of causing major losses and confusing the voters of our country. The Secretary General will report on the discussions that have been held with the SACP on a bilateral basis with regard to the decision that their conference has taken. This NGC must discuss the full implications of this decision for our movement and for the alliance. We need to do so particularly as we go towards next year's local government elections.
This alliance was born in struggle. The ANC, SACP, COSATU framed themselves as the broad church of the oppressed. Different organizations, one strategic center. In theory, that meant debate in private, unite in public, and a single electoral vehicle, the ANC.
On coming to the alliance, the revolutionary and strategic alliance grew out of struggle, out of a shared commitment to the liberation of the oppressed masses of our people. The unity of the alliance remains critical for the successful pursuit of the NDR, especially in these times when progressive ideas and values are under constant attack. Comrade O.R. Tambo's words still resonate. Ours is not merely a paper alliance created at conference tables. Our alliance is a living organism that has grown out of struggle. Close quotes.
Comrade Chair, we are here to bring a message of support to our ally, the ANC. A trusted ally of the Communist Party. This trusted ally, over the years, we have worked together, we have set out agendas, we have done analysis, we have had some convergences, and in some areas we disagreed. But in our disagreement hasn't resulted in us destroying and killing each other. Our disagreement has always been a strength, has tended to be a strength than a weakness of our work. And you can go back to a history all along. You can talk about the Black Republic thesis. You can talk about the formation of the military wing. You can talk about the strategy and tactic that we have adopted in Rogoro in 1969. All those aspects were a product of a contradiction that we're actually dealing with. But at the end, it has given us a way forward.
The fate president of the liberation movement and the alliance, the tools to fix the state and tackle crime and corruption, the ability to respond to the needs of workers and the economy lay within our hands. And so we want to say to the ANC, to the SACP, to COSATU, to SANCO, the alliance is not a convenience. This alliance is a weapon, but a weapon that must be sharpened, a house that must be united. We must therefore resolve what divides us. We must strengthen what holds us together. We must win the local government elections, not for leaders, but for the working class.
At the 5th NGC, speaker after speaker reminded delegates of this history. The SACP as the vanguard, the ANC as the mass leader, the alliance as the engine of transformation. But history doesn't pay salaries in collapsing municipalities. It doesn't fix potholes, and it certainly doesn't automatically renew trust with voters.
We must also, Chair, move from talk to action. Abantu abaji amazwi ethu. And so we need to fix dire state of local government.
On the ground, the pressure is brutal. Municipalities are failing. Workers feel betrayed. Communities see corruption. Inside the NGC, Masuku and others raise sharp questions. How can a party that claims to represent the workers and the poor keep hiding behind an ANC that is losing credibility?
2024 and the 40% the liberation movement received is our final wake-up call. We ignore the warning from the working class at our own peril. This NGC needs to focus on intensifying the renewal of the ANC and the unity of the alliance. And we must say, only a coherent and united alliance can emerge victorious in the most difficult local elections to date in 2026. It is therefore essential that the Alliance Political Council be urgently convened, and that we must be tasked to ensure that the Alliance is united as we prepare for the local elections.
The ANC has pursued multiple bilateral engagements with SACP, COSATU, and SANCO to avert further divisions. Despite these engagements, the SACP Comrades remains committed to independent electoral participation.
For many in the SACP, contesting local government elections directly is not a betrayal. It's survival. It's a way to say to communities, if the ANC leaders in your town, in your community, refuses to change, we will stand in our own name and be judged. And therein lies the core contradiction.
Welcome and support the agenda of renewal of the ANC. And our members of the party, who are members of the ANC, have been given a task to assist the ANC in this route that you want to do to renew yourself. But at the same time, we have gone as the party beyond that to say the renewal of the ANC and the renewal of the party as we have adopted it and the renewal of the COSATU is not enough. There must be the reconfiguration of the alliance itself.
You cannot claim one strategic center of power and then build a second one down the road. The alliance model says the ANC leads, the SACP and COSATU influence policy.
The 55th National Conference directed the NEC to conclude discussions with our alliance partners on the issue of reconfiguration of the alliance. This year, we joined our alliance partner in celebrating the 40th anniversary of COSATU, which has carried forward the tradition of militant trade unionism throughout its existence. And they celebrated their 40th anniversary just a few days ago. And we say, forward with COSATU, forward. Forward with the workers of South Africa, forward.
The SACP on the ballot model says in some wards the ANC will ask you to trust them. And in the next street, its own ally, the SACP, will ask you to trust them instead. Same national democratic revolution, same language of comrades, two different invoices for the same political project.
The SACP, in the report we have explained, the General Council can add, we have explained that we don't agree with this standalone of the SACP.
In the NGC debate, you hear that anxiety. Will this split the vote? Will it open space for rivals? Or will it discipline the ANC and give communities an alternative within the family? The truth is, it'll do both.
We say that we have failed, we reported, to persuade them otherwise. They are steadfast in that decision. In the midterm report, what we are saying is that the National Executive Committee will process the practicalities of that decision. How we are going to handle a communist party that is contesting in the election, not in the fold of the alliance. Because it has got implications on the issue in particular of dual membership. Communist Party members now will have to choose between the ANC and the Communist Party. That will go even into the alliance.
Think about an ordinary voter in Ekurhuleni, Giyani, or Nelson Mandela Bay. For 30 years, they were told if you want the alliance, vote the ANC. Now they may see the ANC on one column and the SACP on another, both claiming the Freedom Charter, both claiming to defend the workers, both blaming counter-revolutionaries for their failures. Who is accountable for water? Who is accountable for electricity or for the collapsed storage system? You see, if an ANC mayor fails, can the SACP simply say, we are in an alliance, but it is their mess? If the SACP run a municipality badly, what happens to the credibility of the alliance as a whole? Competition inside a marriage changes everything, especially when both partners want custody of the voters, well, the kids in this context.
And so we are saying, it is up to us here collectively to rise to the occasion, to provide society the leadership it is so desperately seeks. And we dare not fail, because history will not forgive us when we do.
Let's be honest. This is not about ideology. It's about power, positions, and who signs the contracts. If the SACP contests, it'll demand councillors, MMC posts, mayors, and so forth. That squeezes ANC space in local patronage network. For some in the ANC, that feels like betrayal. For some in the SACP, the feeling is the opposite. They say they carried the moral language of workers and the poor, while the ANC abused state power. Why must they die for their sins?
But, comrades, the reconfiguration of the alliance wasn't messed up by members of the party or the members of the ANC and the general members of COSATU. This discussion has been messed up by us as leadership, because when members went into various conferences and said, move forward, we want you to conclude the alliance, the reconfiguration of the alliance, we dilly-dallied until the Communist Party took a decision to say, we are going to contest elections.
If the SACP runs separately, something new emerges in local councils. A left opposition that is inside government and inside the alliance at the same time. You could have councils where the ANC is the governing party and the SACP sits as a small but vocal opposition, and both sit attending alliance summits on weekends, on Monday fighting over budgets, on Saturday singing Asina Mona together at an alliance rally. Quite a contradiction.
Asina Mona, Asina Nzondo, siyayidumisa i-ANC.
For the public that raises hard questions, is this real accountability or choreographed conflict? When the SACP criticizes ANC corruption in council meeting, is that courage or brand separation inside the same political family?
We have agreed that we need to convene an alliance summit, so that we all reflect on this particular matter. The Communist Party is invited here, and you heard their message of support. The first Deputy Secretary General, General Secretary of the Communist Party, had difficulties to explain that decision. In the plenary, you were watching him. He spoke very well, but when it came to why they must stand on their own, there was difficulty in terms of explaining that. So it is difficult even for ourselves from an ideological stance, theoretically, as to why the party at this moment can take such a decision. To us, that decision is erratic and very dangerous for the project called National Democratic Revolution, which is led by the African National Congress.
The fifth ANC National General Council was more than just speeches. It showed an ANC worried about losing dominance, even amongst its closest allies. A Communist Party tired of being treated like an attachment. A movement that has not answered some of the most important questions. Who leads when the leader is in crisis? The language was still about unity, discipline, and the National Democratic Revolution.
And as I close, Chair, our members will be on the ground assisting the ANC to strengthen itself as members of the ANC to win elections. But at the same time, they've got a task of building a socialist movement, and they will be driving that socialist movement to elections. Mandla!
But beneath the anthems, you could hear it. Anxiety, fatigue, and a quiet recognition that the old alliance formula no longer fit the new electoral reality. The risk is obvious. Fragmented votes on the left, hung councils, more unstable coalitions, and more space for opportunists. But there's also an opportunity, if handled honestly, the opportunity to force real accountability inside the alliance, not just press statements. The opportunity to give communities a way to punish failing leaders without necessarily abandoning the broader project of social justice.
Because if the party cannot introduce socialism as a path, its existence will mean nothing. So these elections are meant to do that.
There is also the opportunity to test whether the SACP can turn big speeches into clean, effective local governments. The danger is that nobody in the alliance is willing to be brutally honest about this trade-off, at least in front of all of us.
The Revolutionary Alliance, comrades. The Revolutionary Alliance between the ANC, SACP, COSATU, and SANCO is a unique and historic political formation rooted in the shared vision of the Freedom Charter and the National Democratic Revolution. Established in the early 20th century and strengthened through successive phases of struggle, the alliance has always reflected a non-racial multi-class coalition of the motive forces of social change. While each partner retains organizational independence, the alliance is strategic, not tactical, because it is united by a common ideological program.
So as we walk towards the next local government elections, the question is not about who will win. The question is, can an alliance survive when its members are fighting each other on the same ballot? Can the ANC and the SACP be comrades on Sunday and competitors on Wednesday and still convince all of us South Africans that they share one project, one center of power, one honest story of what went wrong? Or are we watching in slow motion the end of an era where yesterday's united front becomes tomorrow's crowded ballot paper? You decide.
Although a joint discussion document emerged in 2019, the issue remained unresolved at the 55th National Conference, which mandated the NEC to conclude the debate with attention to theory and organizational form. While all partners agree the alliance must be renewed and reconfigured, disagreement persists over its future character.
If you found this breakdown useful, like, share, and subscribe. In the next episode, we will unpack how this battle will feed into the national coalition game and what it will mean for your water, your electricity, or maybe even your vote. Thanks for watching.
King David Studio Podcast.